Hello, I'm Carmen. I'm Vice President of Marketing at Qualcomm.
Hi, I'm Dallimore, Vice President of Digital Growth at Lamar Advertising. So great to have you. You just came off a stage, fascinating conversations. Qualcomm, give us the very high level. You've been there 3 years. Before then, you were at HP for 25, so you're no stranger to the space. But kind of give our listeners a little bit more in depth about Qualcomm and your new role, as we learned on stage a moment ago.
Awesome. Yes, Qualcomm is an amazing company. It's a fascinating company that is really a technology provider that puts computing power across so many different spaces and so many different devices. And, as a corporate tagline, we like to put computing power everywhere and put it in the hands of people. But we have a really rich history in a very complex but very important space, and that is, our cellular telephone technology and what's in our pockets. And through that amazing technology that Qualcomm has helped to pioneer, we are very sophisticated about how to do computing. And we are on a transformation journey to diversify our business. And we're actually being very successful on that journey. So we're diversifying into spaces that are both small and big. So in IoT and Internet of Things and small cameras around to as large as your car and in the middle to the PC category. And so I actually have a new role at Qualcomm, and that is leading our entire marketing efforts around compute. So it's something we launched really big last June with Copilot Plus PCs and Microsoft, and just an amazing set of capabilities. And I'm coming together to help lead an amazing team of cross-functional marketers in that space.
So very diverse platform.
Very diverse.
So in the early days, it was all about how do we make the computer faster for the personal devices. Prior to, it was obviously the larger computing side of things. So now the diversification of products is everything from mobile to automotive to just simple computing power. So what I love about the brand itself is it was one of the best and the brightest at the time, still continues to be, but as technology evolves around it, it's interesting because it's not one of those where I want to go buy a Qualcomm specifically. You're going to buy the Microsoft laptop. You're going to buy the specific mobile device. So kind of give us a little bit more of the challenges that presents while you still have, and I know personally, I do look for that little tiny logo that is on the right-hand, left-hand corner of that laptop itself. But explain the challenges that come with that, but also while Qualcomm has evolved, so has technology around it, and you guys have been the power behind it per se.
Yes, so I hope I change your mind about that. I hope we change your mind about that. And that is that we actually have brands within inside of Qualcomm, and Snapdragon is our consumer-facing brand. And we put it around things that give you the power to move and powering extraordinary experiences around you. And so that's actually a brand we've invested in quite heavily over the last 10 years or so, and we're ramping up that investment even more. So I hope to challenge you to go in and buy yourself a Snapdragon laptop here in the near future. And we're coming out with the capabilities across the space to do that. But if you think about it from a marketer's perspective, that was something as we look to diversify, we had to identify for our markets, where do we really need to create a stronger brand presence, have both the halo of what the brand is and the strength of the brand, what that can lend to the products to help people know and bring our strong technology and products to the forefront. So it's the combination of both of those things. I come from a history in technology, and in the background, there was always this idea that we'll make an amazing product and people will buy it. Any engineer's dream. But if you look at a strong ecosystem and the go-to-market play that exists in sales engines, retailers, channels, all of that, you realize there's a lot more than just a good product and people buy it. So in marketing, that's where we really have that role, right, is to bring things forward. And you being in the industry you're from, that's for forever, we've been seeing these amazing outdoor advertising and the kind of the start of what advertising was, that in direct mail per se. Yeah. And, people selling newspapers out there. So like the advancement of it and how it keeps going. So hopefully we change your mind and you go in and buy yourself a Snapdragon laptop.
And you literally changed my mind as you said this, because now, as silly as it seems, I was sitting and that's why we're sitting here today maybe, but I was sitting there waiting for my baggage at Las Vegas airport, and Snapdragon was running on our screen, so shame on me. And then also on top of it, ironically enough, now in my mind, I start to see the Snapdragon logo, And now I remember it being inside of Best Buy and other stores. So yeah.
Yes.
So again, prompting that. So going back to the evolution of products. So very early on phases, it was all about your computer, then it became a laptop, then it became your mobile device. But you guys are in so many other things. I'm obviously in the industry of out of home, so I'm very fascinated around the driverless car. I know you guys have a huge exhibit specifically around the autonomous vehicle. So touch on that a little bit deeper, because I think people don't think about computing power as it relates to a vehicle, but as vehicles advance into the future, the computing power becomes almost just as important as the steering wheel and gasoline.
Well, so many different things inside of your car, and it's just expanding exponentially as the consumer desire for an engaging experience in the car just expands. So the autonomous vehicle and car is one way to think about it, but there are so many other elements in telematics and sensors and entertainment and infotainment going on inside of the car. And I think the pandemic really brought to life for people when they couldn't get cars and they wanted cars because there were not enough chips for them. That really brought it to life how important that technology is to help a car actually function and operate. It's just not a mechanical element. We actually named it a digital chassis. And so Qualcomm has a digital chassis technology that we have an architecture that we help enable so many different car manufacturers to be able to utilize, and we work and partner with them to optimize around it. So for example, we have customers in both BMW and Mercedes. It goes across the spectrum from the high to the middle tier, depending upon what people want and what customers want and the price point of a car. And just all those beautiful digital displays that you see, what it can do and where it's going to take you. So that brings us to the element of AI on the edge and at the device, right? So your car becomes really clear to life, like wanting the fast interaction, how quick that speed has to be to see a potential hazard that's happening out there. And that advancement in the technology for those expectations of consumers and for the safety and for that strength that needs to be there. So those are all really important factors that AI is operating in our life today, and we don't realize it. It's not just the mechanical sensor technology. There's a lot more functions going on inside of that. And it's still always about that human experience still. So it's not, so yes, the automated people like to park their car or parks for them. They're still in the car.
Yes.
And so all those elements about the human nature of it is so, so important. And the feedback and the communication. And again, I mentioned the dashes because they're getting quite beautiful now, but they're like fantastic. And each, auto manufacturer may have their own way they go about that, their secret and special sauce, I would say, that make people want to buy that car. But every year the technology advances so much and people are so excited to get new vehicles. There's some, of course, traditional old school like things that people like, but it's pretty exciting when you're getting a new car lately.
Yeah, with that, and I'm actually in the market to buy a vehicle, and literally what's the driving factor between the two brands? I won't say what they are, but it's literally the technology, not just the dash, but how fast is the computing power. So, as the vehicles advance and as location data becomes even more important, I start to put on my advertising hat in my world, and it's like, will there be a day and an age where not only safety is a concern about the distance between, my current car will brake for you if you're not paying attention.
Yes.
I like to say it's your wife slapping you, like, pay attention.
A little bit, or the lane assist, that's super annoying, but
without a doubt. But then also the future is better understanding what's, pedestrians walking across the street at nighttime from a safety perspective, but even maybe there's a world of opting in. And based on your location and based off of what you've opted in and what I like best about, I like quick service restaurants and I have 4 kids, so therefore I want to make sure. So the computing power even becomes more important for the ability to opt in for an ad maybe suggesting, hey, this is a Chick-fil-A coming up in the next exit and there's a coupon. The computing power, touch on that, because that's huge.
It's totally coming into a whole new way, and just AI understanding and learning about you and your behavior. So say you're driving home later from work than normal. It knows that about you. Like, hey, you're off your game. Do you need to stop and should we give a call? Do you need to make a reservation? Do you need to order a takeout order? do you need to call or text somebody? All those suggestions of features, but then also the technology of apps coming into the car in a new way. We have a partnership with Salesforce, for example, and those different elements of things. Like, it really enables a much stronger computing platform with your car. We're used to with our phone, but your car is going to start to become even more and more of that going forward.
Right. So let's shift over to Salesforce. Lamar having 1,000 local reps across all 51 states and Canada as well, it becomes extremely important on the sell-through. So the sell-through of technology, obviously you have the CFO, as you had mentioned, plays a massive role, which I love that you're smirking because I smirk as well.
Actually, he's fantastic. We're very lucky to have him on our side.
And we are as well, but you're still having to sell through, hey, do we need this? And so you're always having to get scrutinized in technology. One of the things you had mentioned on stage, and I'd love you to kind of go in depth about, but change formula. And a good bit of when new technology presents itself, is it a nice to have or is it the future? And then we'll come back to Salesforce.
Okay. So yes, in my previous roles, I actually led the marketing technology transformation. And we bundled it together at Qualcomm in what was a go-to-market transformation to enable the diversification of our businesses and the capabilities that marketing actually needed to have to be successful there. And it's pretty awesome what we were able to do. And I was able to share a really great accomplishment story. But I've had a few other times when it didn't go so well. And even in this, there's always something. So I don't mean it to be like it's all roses all the time, of course. But there's the concept of the just change formula. And I was sharing that it was a professional coach who shared it with me once. When you're really struggling around an initiative and people want it, but they're not willing to sacrifice to have it. Because there's the element like new marketing technology, any innovation, it takes funding, it takes resources, it takes trade-offs, and it takes making decisions to do something instead of something else. And at times where we have something we want, we feel like and we see that it's good for the business, but the business just isn't responding. Whether it's your key stakeholders, funding sources, your boss, time, your own people maybe even. And the element of the change formula is the idea that there has to either be an opportunity so big that everyone wants to go after, or the pain has to be so hard that there's a reason and a response for them to change. If it's not, and they can go along doing okay enough, then you really have to hold up the mirror and look at what's happening and say, is this the right time? Or do you need to wait till a different group of people comes along, or there's a higher demand for the need of the output of something you're trying to do? So that's the element of the change formula. And it's something that you also have to remember sometimes in life, we Band-Aid things along so much that you never create the pain to make something bigger happen. And so in that scenario as a leader, at times the pain has to hurt or has to have an impact. And so I think that's just like maturity as a leader in the space, learning how to manage through change and understanding when you lean in, when you take a break, maybe you wait for someone else to come along and help you out.
Yeah, I absolutely love that advice. That's huge. One of my mentors always said, if you don't like change, you'll really like irrelevancy. And that's a big part of technology. So last question for you, obviously at CES, brand innovators being heavy around the advertising side of things. As advertising continues to advance more towards programmatic buying, that compute power from real-time bid to buy becomes even more relevant. So how do I hit that consumer on their journey when they're at a specific point in time? And then that ad serving in real time becomes even more relevant. I think oftentimes people don't realize the brains behind the technology that make that happen. It's just, hey, I'm giving you the data, I'm telling you where to play. Poof, magic wand, just make it
It's not as simple as everyone makes it out to seem. And even like I've been in there pitching it and it sounds like magic and it's going to happen. But the missing element of that is all the hard work, the deep thinking, the thought that goes into the testing of the creative ideas, the people insights, to understanding where they're even going to be to know what to target. It's not as automatic as we like to believe it to be. There's a lot more human that's still in this space. AI is a tool to give us insights and signals and help us out along the way and things we may not see, but there's a whole bunch of humans still in this. And that's the big underpinning about it is it's here to help us along. But the human part and connecting with humans and humans still being there and adding our special flavor, our sauce, our judgment, our vitality, our life, our happiness, the passion, that's all us. And it's not doing that for us. That's up to us to do an additive with it to help make our lives better.
Yeah, I always talk about AI is not here to take your jobs, it's to create that efficiency. And that efficiency is going to allow you to have more personal relationships, whether it's within your own house, within your own companies, or the folks that you're selling to. And then it truly allows, at least in the advertising world, truly allows creativity to emerge even more.
So I think that's the cool part about the examples that I use with the new capabilities of our on-device AI in PCs that we've put out there, and the technology that we have with our X Elite chips is that amazing ability to have on-device AI be able to be there, give you the power performance, no matter where you're at, in an airplane, sitting unplugged for like such long battery life, to be that tool and that assistant and that person with you, so you can add your human sauce to what it's giving you back and helping you be better, whether it's real-time translations, whether it's optimizing how you craft your sentences, or click-to-do or drawing. It's helping bring our human ingenuity and making it come to life and giving us capabilities we didn't have without it before.
Yeah. Look, this is my 19th CES.
Okay.
Second CES with the term AI, and you're the first brand that I've heard like truly talk about AI as not just oh yeah, AI. So I applaud you. I know on stage the passion that you have for what you do, and then sitting here today getting the privilege to interview with you, how you're truly showcasing like what AI is and what its full capabilities are. So for that, I thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.